If you're looking to start a YouTube channel, or maybe you've already started and you want to know what to focus on to grow your views, to get more subscribers, today's show is for you. I'm interviewing the great Jade Darmawangsa, content creator, entrepreneur, and all-around YouTube superstar. She's a seasoned content creator who's racked up millions of views, and she's going to be sharing what she would focus on for the growth for her first 100 days if she started her channel completely all over. All that and more on the VI show coming up right now.
This video is brought to you by vidIQ, the #1 Chrome extension for YouTubers looking for on-point data analysis, research resources, and enhanced video creator tools. Start getting more views in less time today by signing up for free at vidiq.com/influence. That's vidiq.com/influence.
That's right. My name is Benji Travis. Welcome to Video Influencers, where we're helping build your influence, income, impact with online videos. Sean Cannell and I, we started this channel to help you crush it on this platform. We're also the co-authors of YouTube Secrets. Get it on Amazon, on Audible. Go to tubesecretsbook.com. Get your copy, tubesecretsbook.com, to get your copy of YouTube Secrets. Without further ado, I want to introduce our guest, who I'm so excited to have on after almost a whole year of being on the VI show. Jade, what is going on? How are you doing?
Hi, Benji. I'm excited to be here. I'm doing well.
Awesome. Just wanted to give also a shout out to the Dharma Nation that I'm sure is on here. So welcome to Video Influencers. That's right. We're going to be getting into the topic really quick, which is what Jade would do in her first 100 days on YouTube. I'll also be sharing some tips and strategies on whether you're a brand new channel and you're just getting started today, or maybe you're a seasoned creator, or you've gotten, some momentum, but you're not quite there yet. You're not building fast enough. You're not getting the subscribers or the views that you want. These are going to be principles that anybody can apply. And I'm telling you, Jade is one of the most impressive content creators I know, not only because she's crushing it, but because she is so young. So she brings a fresh perspective to this show and to this audience. So we're going to be getting into that. But Jade, tell me, what are your thoughts on YouTube right now? In 2020, obviously, there's been some hard times, some challenges, but what would you say are the opportunities that you're excited about, or maybe people don't know of?
I think that the pandemic right now and everything going on in the world has allowed YouTube to thrive in the creator side. I actually was speaking recently with a friend that works at YouTube. He's the head of basically the product development, which is the algorithm. And he said that, honestly, Jade, YouTube has had issues prioritizing small creators. So it's pretty evident that the algorithm does favor established or just creators that they know. But recently their YouTube itself is what I've seen trying to make a push on discovery for small creators, just because I believe there's a statistic about this, but this is the first year where YouTube is growing more rapidly on their creator base versus viewer base, which basically means to me that creators are viewers. A lot of people, and I have recently experienced this, I never used to watch my friends' videos. I was so focused on my content and my things because I am more important than anyone. No, but I think from what I've seen, statistically, YouTube growing their creator base or people that upload content, and then, seeing that shift from viewers, becoming people that create content, everyone needs to support each other during this time, right? We can't just rely on making content and not supporting Bob making their YouTube channel, or your friend that's starting a cooking show. I think more than ever, it's so important to watch people that are around you, because that's what we truly need to grow an audience. It's no longer the algorithm. It's literally your friends now starting channels, and we have to support them. So recently, I feel in the past month, or at least definitely 6 months, so just supporting my friends from high school with their content, just looking at stuff, and I think it's really important. So
that's dope. I believe that's actually been true for a while, that YouTube likes to bring up new talent or channels that have just launched to the surface and give you a chance. And this is why it's so important to make quality content, because if you do get that opportunity, you don't want to waste that. I'll do searches often and I'll see a random channel, not very many subscribers, not even a lot of views. It's just a random video in this line lineup of these epic pieces of content. And I believe that's the algorithm giving you a chance, as long as obviously the AI thinks your title is relevant for that search. It's not going to just put out something completely random, but it's not only been true, but it's more the case. So interesting to hear that perspective from you, that you feel like that's being done even more now, which also doesn't surprise me because probably more people are starting YouTube channels. So with that being said, I want to just get right into the topic, Jade, because you just recently put out a video where you talked about what you would do with your first 100 subscribers, and it made me think about this idea as what would you do during your first 100 days on YouTube if you were starting at zero. Can we dive into some of your thoughts there and advice for people if they're just getting started?
Okay. So I think my advice will contradict a lot of people, but that's what I like to do, make people uncomfortable. Okay. When it comes to your first 100 videos, let's just say you just got your first camera. You're not a public speaker prior to your work. So this is your first time really speaking on camera. And let's just say you don't have any existing followers, like you're not Instagram famous, or you so happen to have like TikTok followers. So let's just say you're truly starting at zero. My best advice is I'm going to break it up. So Benji's asking your first 100 videos. I'm going to break it up in 3 sections. So if I were to get started at ground zero today, this is what I would do. I would divide it into what I would do in my first 10 videos, what I would do in my first 50 videos, and then what I would do in my first 100. So like we have these sections. The reason why I break it up this way is because for your first 10 videos, you're going to be so uncomfortable. It's not about SEO. It's not about thumbnails. It's about, I don't like myself on camera. It's about, I don't know how to edit. It's about, I don't feel confident. So I find that really suffocating for small creators because they're really trying to get it right the first time. Your first video will just suck. It just will. And that's okay. So when it comes to your first 10 videos, I really, like for my personal, like even, I know it doesn't work this way right now on YouTube, where if you put out like a weird vlog or you put out like a video for yourself, it's not going to perform well. But for your first 10 videos, you want to treat it for yourself. Like on my first YouTube channel, it was called Kitty Films 8. My first like actual upload was just me like playing with dolls.
Yeah.
I was like 9 at this time. And if I didn't have a hobby, like so many people are trying to monetize their hobby, and I think it's great, but it's really suffocating in the very beginning because you need to learn how to like get on camera first. So what I would say is start with like literally make content that you like. If you look at your subscription feed and you're watching a lot of cooking videos or fashion videos, then recreate it. I basically have this principle where I write down my top 10 favorite YouTubers and I recreate my top 10 videos out of their content. So then you have 100 video ideas. Basically, you just want to start with not about what's going to get views or what's going to get money, but like, what do you want to make? And that's where I would start.
Yeah, no, I love that you brought that up, because sometimes the goal of making money will negatively influence the content you're putting out because you're prematurely doing call to actions to some product and you haven't even really got an audience yet, right? Like they don't even know you. But even backing up to the basics, like you're saying, you might not even be comfortable with the hobby that you're in. So, and you have an interesting story too, because you started when you're 9 years old. You've literally barely lived any life. So any hobbies you might have been into, you're not really that I'd say experienced. You don't know that much. You can't really teach a lot. So you naturally did what you're talking about. You were just sharing your passion, your interest for dolls. I haven't seen that channel, but I'd be interested to see how that was, because like you said, when you put out your first videos, they're not going to be nearly the level that your videos are now. I mean, you just go back to the first videos Sean and I put out on this channel. I mean, it's kind of silly. Like Sean and I, we were already, like efficient, and we knew how to create great content. We just didn't know how to do these type of videos. So even in the beginning, you just have to get those out of there, right? To learn the next steps. But then what would be the follow-up, right? What would be the next set of videos you would do in your first 100 days on YouTube?
Okay. So just to recap, if you're complaining about a slow growing YouTube channel, but you haven't made 10 videos just for yourself, don't continue this video. After that, maybe you've done that. You made some vlogs with your friends, a family trip, just stuff you like. This is what I call the remix strategy. I just made it up. It has a name now. Before it didn't have a name. I subconsciously did this with a lot of my channels because with YouTube, if you recreate something, it doesn't stick as well. You almost have to reinvent your new category. And a
Mm.
lot of people argue all the niches are saturated. But with the remix strategy, you're able to create a new niche or industry slash interest. And I'll talk about that. So I kind of did this on my own channel where I started out making just videos I like and just kind of doing stuff that was interesting. And when you kind of go from the 10 video mark to the 50 video mark, you want to start remixing ideas to create new categories. So I watch a lot of David Dobrik, not gonna lie, but I also watch a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk. So I was like, with the remix strategy, you want to take what you like and what you want to talk about and put it together. So I like, the David Dobrik humor and the fact that everything he says is just really loud and fun and snappy. But I love Gary Vaynerchuk's mindset. So I started like probably 2017 to create like these literally drive with me vlogs where I would talk about marketing strategies while going through the drive through at like, I don't know, Starbucks. It was a little bit off and people were like, actually people got really angry because they were like, just sit down in one space, jeez. And I just personally did not see it as success. Oh, he's literally
There
saying
you go.
yes. So I think that it was really successful because people that were watching this channel at the time, and this is literally when my channel grew from 0 to 100,000 subscribers in a
Yeah.
year, when I was doing a lot of these drive with me videos. At the start, it didn't get a lot of views, but because I was using kind of like the titles of like videos that people will typically watch combined with a format that was different that people never saw, I got a lot of interaction, subscribers that converted into loyal people that continued watching. And it wasn't necessarily like I went viral in one night. It was just doing something different gets people to talk about something. And then that kind of cascades into people sharing your content. And that's really how I grew my subscriber base like 2 years ago, I would say. So that's what I would do from from the first 10 videos to the first 50, just figuring out what content do I like and like how can I put it together. So if there is, I would put this in my most recent example. I recently loved watching a show on Netflix called Outer Banks. It's basically the modern version of Dora the Explorer. Like literally it's cheesy. But I love their show because they provide, it's kind of funny because they provide too many backstories, like to the point where like every character has a flashback. It's a little bit kind of cheesy, but it was really interesting because when you watch a story or especially a tutorial on YouTube, none of the characters, or if I was the character, like no one gives a backstory. They're like, and maybe in the marketing world for me, it's just like, this is how you do something. But I was realizing the impact that giving a backstory slash flashback gave in the character development of Outer Banks. So I was like, I gotta apply this. So with my recent uploads, I've been literally vlogging inside or showcasing past like story times that really emphasize my points. So those are my recent remixes. So I would recommend you guys to figure out that for your own for the second phase.
Yeah, somebody was just telling me about their podcast and how they always, present their guest and build their authority with what they've done, but then they follow it up with saying, "Hey, can you tell us a little bit more about what else you've done or things that people don't know about you?" And this guest uniquely said, "Well, let me bring it all the way back to the beginning," right? And he started by saying, "I started walking from Canada to the US." It was something like really dramatic, but it was giving that backstory to set up for the answers that he was expecting. And he said he was just so fascinated by this idea that this guy would answer it not in like a black and white manner. He was like painting a picture. He was really going into the storytelling part of his life. And I think that's really important, especially today. We're responsible for this on this channel. We got so into the how-to, right? Get right to the point, make short videos, just give people right away what they expect based on their search or what it is that their intention of watching the video is. But then we lost the personality. We lost the storytelling, the backstory. Do you feel that that's true? And what are your thoughts on that? Because I think that that's ultimately what you're saying. Like you need to tell a story versus just answer the question.
Yeah, I also think there is a time and place. Like that content is helpful in the world. People want some things
Sure.
fast. I think there's not left. It's not black and white. I'm obviously speaking from a very extreme, like personal example, but for example, you can build a 5 minute crafts channel where it's very helpful and goes viral.
Yeah.
I think at this mark, when you're first making, okay, disregard the first 10, but after that point, you want to ask yourself, like, what channel do you really want to build? Do you want to build a big brand identity like BuzzFeed that kind of just turns around content, like, or like 5 minute crafts that's like very, very informative and entertaining and very, like a nice little laugh? Or do you want to build something with long term growth that has personal relationships in a community? I think at this stage, when you start to make more remixes, you know what you like and don't like, and you can decide what you want to do. So if you want to build a channel with a community so you can push more products maybe in the future, or just have a bit more fulfillment in your work, not that I know anything about life or fulfillment, I think it's important to start to bring in your story and be vulnerable, because you're basically being honest with not only your audience but yourself, and it's great to look back on. So I think that it starts with like, what type of channel do you really want to build? If you want to build an empire machine, then disregard this advice because it will slow you down, honestly. But if you want to build something that has community power, then you really need to keep in storytelling in mind.
Yeah, totally. I think it is kind of the future. First off, I just want to say thank you to Go Groomer for the super chat. Appreciate you supporting this channel. And we're going to be doing Q&A at the very end. If you're watching the replay of this, it is exclusive to members only, unless you're live here. So make sure you catch all these shows Saturday mornings. This is the VI show where we interview people just like Jade, superstars who are just crushing it. So make sure you have your questions ready. If you put it into the chat area, we'll answer as many of them at the very end. So moving on, we talked about what you would do for your first 10 videos, right? If you're first starting out, which is just get content out, like get that experience, talk about things that you love and are passionate about that are easy, right? I think that's so important for building that confidence and building those skills. Secondly, you talk about the storytelling aspect, right? Giving that backstory, combining niches. You talk about bringing interest to your content by doing something a little bit different. What else? Is there anything else that you would give in terms of advice to somebody that's literally just starting out in their first 100 days, so their first 3 months on YouTube?
So I think after that, after you make your first couple of remix videos, you're gonna start to see videos that pop off more. I call this next part of the stage is called milking the cow. Basically, you want to figure out like what is getting traction and how can I recreate it and make that into a series. I would say like in the beginning you play around, in the middle you experiment, right? Like you see like, oh, I think this is getting views, but I want to combine it with this, right? And then the latest stage, if you want to divide maybe your last month or so, it's to like see the pattern, recognize that, oh my gosh, maybe this certain topic is getting a lot more views. I'm going to make a part 2 around it. And you want to follow up pretty quick, honestly, so you can disregard this maybe even sooner. If you get a video that had like 100,000 views in a week just because it's going crazy on the browse features page, then make a follow up. So I would say at this third stage of your journey, I would really start to focus your content. Also, like, keep in mind, yes, do something that gets a lot of views because you want to take it seriously, but make sure it aligns with what your values are. I have so often friends that, so I have this one friend on my team that created these videos where she would go on Omegle, and just talk to people and strangers, and it just, she got a ton of views. It got like 100,000 views in 4 weeks, which is great for a channel with maybe under 1,000 subscribers. But she maybe didn't feel a personal alignment with the content. So she made a follow-up to it. But then because she made a follow-up, it kind of got a rabbit hole of like, oh, I don't really want to do this. And then people still want it. So then you don't stop. So I think it's also important to have a personal alignment with your content before moving forward, which is a disclaimer I always like to add once you start milking the cow.
Yeah, that's a great example. In fact, you know what? Let me pull up my screen here and show you what Jade is talking about. So on my channel here, you can actually see what she's talking about. So I put up food videos on my other channel. This is just something I do for fun. And I recently started putting up more videos. And so there's going to be some doubles because this is my channel back area. But my lasagna video right here popped for me. 167,000 videos, 167,000 views. And, I normally get anywhere from like 20 to 30,000 views on my cooking videos. But what I'm going to do with this lasagna video, which did so well, let me show you the end, what it looks like at the end here. Oh, wait, let me back up a little.
That looks good. When am I coming over for dinner?
There we go. Anyways, What I'm gonna do is, even though I'm not this like lasagna fanatic, I love lasagna. I'm gonna do a follow-up video soon on a lasagna recipe, making lasagna without the lasagna noodles, right? So it's gonna be using some penne pasta or some ZT or something like that. And that's a great example of what Jade's talking about. And my question for you, Jade, is how do you follow up your hits to ride that momentum, ride that wave, but still keep your personality? What is the ratio? So for every 10 videos, if you've gotten that momentum, how many of those videos should be the clickbait, the ones that really get those views, that grow your subscribers, that grow your channel, versus the ones that you're really passionate about? And obviously the ratio is going to be different for different people, but what would it be for you? What would you recommend to people?
For me, 1 to 1, like 50-50 exactly. So for every 10 videos, 5,
Mm,
5, I
yeah.
would go crazy if it's any more, just because, like, okay, so for example, right? Lasagna is hitting.
Yes.
If you made a follow up, that hit too, maybe you make another lasagna video. And then slowly, I'm not going to say you want to, but say you don't want to be lasagna man, because you just said you're not here to,
Yeah.
but you can turn you into a lasagna man if they like it and you like that gratification. This
Yes.
happened to me, like literally, and I'm not really proud of it just because I hated the things I made at this time. I made like a literally like I was Instagram girl for probably like a year straight. I made a video every day about Instagram, which I love Instagram at the time, but then when you start to like, I don't know, make a video every day and start to lose your personality, but also the horrible thing, not horrible thing, but it's like the fact that you could be known for something and then you make another video and then it gets lower views, it makes you question yourself. You're like, oh, I'm only Instagram girl and that's it. I can't make a vlog. I can't
Yeah.
make anything else. That's not going to get traction. And I fell in that rabbit hole where I just became Instagram girl because I made vlogs and it didn't get views and I got scared. So the reason why I do 50-50 is because it trains you to still have integrity for yourself, because you can do 100% like just that video, but you're going to lose brand integrity, right? Like
Yeah.
you're going to have people are going to only watch you for a certain topic and that can hurt you long term in case you switch and pivot. So I think it's important to do 50-50 for me.
Yeah. And so let's look at Jade's channel, show my screen neutrally. And what I love is, by the way, the last time you were on this show, you're 100,000 less subscribers. So you've grown. So this actually works. And this is one of the things I not only do believe you practice what you preach, but I respect about you. Obviously, you have different types of videos because of this reason, right? Like you don't want to get burnt out on content you don't want to create. Well, I'm not saying you don't want to create, but maybe isn't your most passionate at the time. So you
Yeah.
have a good mix of videos, right? Like, so this one recently, what I eat in a day, chill surfer vibe, because you were living in California, right? But then of course you still have these tips videos about entrepreneurship. Ironically, you had another Instagram Reels video here just a week ago, right? So
I
by
would
the
a
way,
little bit.
this works. So the reason I'm showing that is because I interviewed Jade November of last year, and you had about 290,000 subscribers, and now you're at 380,000. So this isn't a theory. This is actually something that works, and she's applying. And I agree with, because when you do this, you're thinking long term, because to a certain degree, it's like your mental health. If you're just always putting out things that you only are putting out just for the sake of views because this audience is getting built, there's like, a horde of people that just want that lasagna tutorial, right? Well, it's not going to be feeding your soul. It's not going to be feeding what you want. And that's what you really need to do. That's the whole point. Obviously, there's opportunity, making money, getting famous. There's different things that people want from it. But ultimately, what makes YouTube special is you sharing your personality, your passion for something in your unique voice. So I love this whole 50-50. Me personally, I'd say that it actually doesn't matter, because it all depends on what is a good flow for you. But it's good to know that that is what you do. Anything else? We're going to get into some kind of like more practical tips on the analytics side, but any other things that you want to share with people? Like, what would be your final thought for that person that's in their 100 days?
My last tip is if you're struggling to get views still and you did all this is what I have to say. Watch your, if you're doing the remix strategy, ask yourself where you're sourcing your remixes. The reason why remix strategy works for me, aka I'm able to do what I like, but also get views essentially, is the way I'm sourcing the idea with what I'm combining is very tied to my research. So I always go on my YouTube browse features, like things that YouTube recommends me, and I source that for my recommendation. So for example, 2 years ago, David Dobrik was hot, so that's where I sourced it. But maybe it's not as trendy. So what I recommend is like literally watch the things that YouTube recommends you, or at least see what's on trending even, because if you see something getting traction and you combine it with your taste and flavor, that will a little bit jumpstart your growth a little bit. Because for example, I had this one video. I've been recommended this one channel. She's a makeup artist, and she titles her videos in the most strangest ways. Like one of her titles of her videos is like, "I use this foundation. You should too."
Yeah.
And I'm like, most because I watch Judy and I watch a lot of YouTubers, but like this is weird. Like typically you do like MAC makeup review
Yes.
and like keyword. This girl is like doing, I don't like this foundation, but check it out. It's like so, I guess, colloquial and like relaxed. And I was like, that's interesting. So recently I titled my video, "Stop Ignoring Instagram Reels," or
Oh
like
yeah.
just really weird statements. And it works. So just look at patterns from what also YouTube's recommending you.
Yeah, for sure. That's another thing too about titles. Again, this is what we taught, and I'm changing my perspective on this. I always said just go super logical, think about what people are actually searching. Now, in terms of the title, how you title it, right? So, like how to make lasagna versus now you think more on the psychology side, right? Like what would get people curious or interested? What would get them to want to click because they're like, oh, I want to avoid that mistake, or what was it that happened to them? So like the lasagna, right? It's like this one ingredient changed my lasagnas forever. I'm not even telling you like this is how I cook lasagna. I'm just talking about this one ingredient, but ultimately I could still, right? I could still teach you that lasagna recipe. I'm thinking about this more and more every single day now. And I was just curious what the name of that channel was that you're referring to.
Yes, everyone literally, if you don't watch makeup, you need to watch this girl just because she's like so good. Okay, I got her name. So her name is, if you guys want to search her, it is, I'm just pulling it up, Alexandria Anel. She has around I think half a million subscribers, 670,000, but she grew it over the span of quarantine. And it's literally her entire, I'm gonna read a couple more titles for you guys. Yeah, we have the channel here. The viewership is insane. There's literally no keyword strategy at all. Like look at
Oh
her
yeah.
second video. It literally says it's a makeup inspired by dot dot dot. Like,
Yeah,
but
this
if
is
you scroll
cool.
her most popular video, and I really recommend everyone to reference this, is called "Dude." Highlighter changes your entire face.
Where is
So
that?
basically, I think it's probably like
Here.
"Dude" or "Eyeliner changes your entire face," and it has like 2 million views,
Oh
and
yeah. Oh
it's
wait,
like
no, this is
insane.
different. 101.
There's
Let me
another one. I think it's
dude,
"Eyeliner
eyeliner
changes your."
changes your whole face. Okay, yeah.
Yes, like what the heck is that title, right?
Yeah. Dude, eyeliner changes your whole face. Yeah. So this is again evidence that these things that Jade are talking about completely work. And in fact, it's so important to do this because everyone was starting to do the exact same thing. I felt the same way about even this channel. I stopped actually putting out the kind of content we started in the very beginning because I was literally just putting out videos that was the exact same as someone else. Like they're learning tips from me. I'm probably learning tips from them. The things that
I
work,
know.
yeah, the things that work for YouTube are like universal for everybody else. Like they don't, I don't believe majority of videos have like a different treatment. It's really the AI is just trying to get the best piece of content for the user, for the person searching something or getting onto the platform. So now you really have to get creative. Gary Vaynerchuk, he says this. He says the last frontier that AI probably is going to take a long time, hopefully like 1,000 years, or at least after I'm gone, is imagination, creation, art, right? And so art isn't just like painting a picture or making music. It's literally even making these YouTube videos. Even if your information channel, like how do you get more creative with it? What can you do to bring like entertainment into maybe a boring topic? And that is creating something. That is art in itself. So combining two niches is the same thing. Would you say that's like a great representation of what you're saying in regards to even this person, Alexandra Anel?
Yeah, like here's my biggest thing, and just to backpack off that, like Benji, I did the same thing. Like for a while, I was like, okay, literally, I'm gonna like say it for the first time on the VI show. I would copy and paste titles, but also tags using
Yeah.
the IQ from other people, and I was like, it's fine, like you can do that, but I think that it's like you can't do it all the time. It's not sustainable. I was so focused on replicating success from trends I see. Even with the remix strategy, it can kind of get a little dangerous, but I was never making things I wanted. So
Yeah.
I guess the follow up, like this solution to this is genuinely, I'm like, I really, it's a weird advice to give because I also don't have a life outside of YouTube, but it's to make mistakes and live life because it gives you really good story times to bring to your videos. So if you're literally, especially for full-time YouTubers, I've seen this a lot, people with school, work, another job actually do better on YouTube because they have other stories and experiences to bring. When you're a full-time YouTuber, I felt this. My entire life was just YouTube. So I was regurgitating the same things, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
because I don't have any outside life. Like I had no life. I still don't have a life that well, but I recently, I moved in with like a college roommate, and I've recently picked up like Bumble and dating apps so I could just like have story. Okay, not to say I'm trying to use people as stories, okay, but I just try to have a life outside of YouTube. And although it's not correlated and people don't like it because it's like I don't know, it's not analytic, like step by step tips. It's like so important to have things that give you an edge and difference. And it's sometimes a curse to be full time in something because you don't have those external stories.
Yeah, for sure. And we're actually going to get into analytics next. But again, I wanted to give a big shout out to Dharma Nation. I know you're in here. And if you want to ask a question, ask your questions right now. And we're going to do a Q&A later. But let's go ahead and jump into my screen here. So one thing that's really important is what gets measured gets improved. So vidIQ is a sponsor, but I actually use them. So this is
I do too.
yeah, this is a tool that you can put onto your Chrome, and it tells you a lot about videos. So let's just go to YouTube right now and let's look at a video. There's a video right here. Got uploaded by Kenji Lopez. He's a food YouTuber. And this is what's so awesome. On the right side of my screen, and this is really everybody should be using this. vidIQ tells you a lot about this video. It tells you about how many views per hour it's getting, which is really important for evergreen, right? Like how many views will this get in a day for the next few days or whatnot. It tells you information. Obviously, you can see the views, right? But also, it's going to tell you he doesn't use any tags. Isn't that funny? So right here, there's no tags, but usually when you go to other videos, in fact, let's just go to another video real quick. When you go to, let's go to cooking. Let's go to right here, 7-course. I bet you they have tags. This is binging with bat.
Wait, binging with babe? Yeah.
So anyways, so another cool thing about vidIQ, it tells you not only information about the video itself, but also what tags that creator's using. So they used to, show all this stuff, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because you want to do research on what's working for other people, and even just seeing those tags is important because you're getting kind of into the mindset of that creator. Now, tags don't really hold as much relevance as it once did, but what it's great for is kind of building in your brain what you should be creating in your video, right? Like those tags influence what you say, what you record, how you edit. So let's actually go to an example of one of my videos. I just uploaded a video. I'm not trying to promote my video, but if you want to watch it, I think you definitely should. Let's type in cheeseburger. I can't believe I actually ranked for this, but I did it because I use tools like vidIQ. So if you just type in cheeseburger, let's see if it's still ranking. Yeah, number 4 right there. That's my video. That's my thumbnail, right? And easy cheeseburger, homemade smash burger, because I've been thinking about this. Let's actually click on it. and again, this is more than just using vidIQ, but I'm showing you how not only I use vidIQ to research, but what I do afterwards. I don't know why it's not refreshing. Come on. Come on. There we go. So let's come on, default view. Sorry, you guys. All right. So to the right, this is really important. I'm looking at views per hour, and I'm hoping that that goes up and up and up, because what it's telling you is it's gaining momentum. So say tomorrow it gets 250 views per hour. That means it's not getting promoted as much. And so again, like, the tool I really use here is vidIQ over here. So when you go to vidIQ, you can actually research tools. And this is exactly what I did. When I knew I was going to be teaching about how to make a cheeseburger, I typed in cheeseburger and I put it into their search tool for keyword research. And then it pops up all these terms, right? All these terms that people are actually using, and it tells you their search volume. It shows you a certain search and competition score. What you're looking for is this overall score over here to the right. Point is, I can literally go in here and see all the different terms that are related to my search term that people are typing into YouTube. And another little cool bonus here, you can click all these and then just go up here and copy selected keywords and then put it right into your video. So it's a real quick tip on using vidIQ. Obviously, thank you so much. Go down to the description box to download it if you don't have it. There's a free version. I would definitely recommend the paid version because it gives you so much more stuff. But I want to know from you, Jade, about analytics, because I talk about what gets measured gets improved. I'm not really an analytics guy, but I understand how important it is on YouTube, especially when you start, even though you might not have a lot of analytics. But what would be your quick tips or advice, or what do you do? Because I know you're really into this stuff.
I think I'm going to hone in on two data points, which is click-through rate and watch time. Click-through rate is how many people click on your thumbnail if it gets recommended. I'm going to talk about this one a lot more and heavily, just because I find that everyone is so less in, like, no one really everyone pays attention to title, but for thumbnail, I feel like it gets a little less love. Like, maybe it's most obvious just to put a picture of your face like this and then like 3 keywords.
Yep.
But there's so much more psychology and things I've learned personally that I want to share now, just because I think it's a little bit underloved. So when it comes to increasing your click-through rate, I've talked to some YouTubers. Maybe I can't disclose their names, but there's this guy with 20 million subscribers that does gives money away on the internet. You guys could guess. And we asked what his click-through rate is, just because I'm just curious. Like, does it change if someone's really big or if I'm really small? And he's like, my click-through rate is around 15 to 20%.
Wow.
It's interesting. It's like interesting. And then I asked him, like, for this video that got 20 million views, like, what was your click-through rate? And he's like, around 15%. So I kind of saw that that's the range. Sometimes it's 10%, but I was looking at my click-through rate and I was like, okay, my click-through rate is 6%. This is an issue. So I started this journey of figuring out a way to increase my click-through rate, because YouTube is pushing your video. This is called impressions. A lot of people don't think like the algorithm is not helping me, but the reason why you're not getting views is not because of you're not getting pushed. It's because you're getting pushed, but not enough people are clicking through it, right?
Yeah.
And if your click-through rate is 8% or 6% like me, even if you got 100,000 people to push, only 6,000 people will click, right? So if you can increase it a little bit, YouTube will reward you. So this is what I've learned on how to increase your click-through rate from maybe 6% to what I have now, which is around 10%. The first thing I would say is what I do always for any video I make, I create around 5 to 10 versions of a thumbnail for the same video, and I just A/B test it throughout the month. It's pretty aggressive. Honestly, I don't do it all the time as of this month because I was working on some projects, but when I grew my channel like a lot, probably this summer when I had a video that kind of, I would say, took off in not in my typical niche. I got around like a 10% click-through rate and 500,000 views. It was about influencers and Emma Chamberlain. That thumbnail, I created like 10 different versions with 10 different copywriting with 10 different images. And this is what I was thinking. I was basically thinking about the video. Let me pull this up just so I can give you guys a very clear example. Not a lot of creating thumbnails is logical. Like, a lot of it is experimenting and just ideas. So the video title, if you guys are curious, it was called, all right, Um, Influencers are too predictable. The original title for this was about Emma Chamberlain buying a house. I'm pretty sure it was about like I use the word Charlie D'Amelio and Emma Chamberlain, which are influencers on TikTok and YouTube that recently like bought a house. And the whole video was about like how influencers, when they make money, they buy a house and then they like join a big little Team 10 type like situation. And it's really predictable. So this video got around like 343,000 views. And it was a picture of my face initially, but then I swapped it to pictures of Emma and Charlie. And then I experimented with a few different types of writing. I said copy and paste. There was one that was like the influencer cycle. There was another one that was like, I believe, I try to even use the same title in my thumbnail, like the same text. And then I experimented with different, if you see the image, do you guys see there's like a black box in the background? Like one time, one of the thumbnail versions, it was just the white text. There was no black background. So I realized it was maybe hard to read. So essentially what I did is throughout the week, I created 10 different thumbnails of what I would personally click on. And my click rate spiked. Can you guys hear? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the minute my click rate spiked, I was like, okay, like let me stay on it longer. So then I let it wait for like a week and then it grew over time. So I think a lot of people want to get their first thumbnail right, but you don't. You have to. You can experiment. You can change it literally, even if it's a year old video, you can still change your thumbnail. So that's what I've been doing in regards to click the rate.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot of work. And by the way, speaking of that other creator, we don't have to name them, but they literally go above and beyond on creating their thumbnail. They spend,
Yeah.
I mean, some creators spend as much time on that thumbnail and title as they do the actual video itself. Don't get me wrong, the video is what's most important, but even me, I'm literally thinking about it from the day I research what topic I'm going to be sharing or the video I'm going to be creating all the way to the very last moment. It's the last thing I think about before I publish the videos. Like, is this the right thumbnail? In fact, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to show this, but how do I show this right now? I had 4 different thumbnails. So if I'm going to my channel right now, right? So this cheeseburger, let me actually type in cheeseburger. What's that? Oh yeah, go ahead and send it to me. So I'm typing in cheeseburger, which like my mind's blown that I'm ranking for cheeseburger, so basic. But that image right there that you see on screen, originally there was going to be text on top of it, and it was going to either say cheeseburger or smash burger, or it was going to say easy and homemade. And we decided to go with the thumbnail that had no image on it or no text on it. And so the reason I bring it up in relation to what you're talking about is the fact that I feel that what you said is not only completely correct, but it's hard to understand that it's not always logical. It's like art. So going back to the whole art thing, when you go to a museum, sometimes you go and look at art that's being presented on the wall. If you go to Paris, France, you go to Louvre, like there's stuff that's like, how is this even worth $1 million? It's not logical at all. And this is why you do need to experiment. And this is why this channel as well, same thing on my food channel. I experiment on both. You have to kind of push the edge and do something new. So what worked for the whole last year might still work now and like for a good amount of time, but what's really going to get that click through is something that stands out. So even the types of colors, all the different things you're thinking about in the text, it all just changes. And remember, the human aspect of optimizing your channel or your videos is what is always going to be a mystery. It's always going to be evolve and change because user behavior. So thank you so much. In fact, there's only one more thing I want to talk about in relation to what you said, which is the analytics. So I wanted to teach people how to find it. So what you do, and you can pull my screen up neutrally. You go to your YouTube studio, you go over here to the analytics, okay? And then you go to reach right here, and then impressions is impressions, click-through rate. So me personally, that's an okay click-through rate. I would love it to be more, and hopefully that grows. But you know what I would actually do, this 5.1%, is potentially test a new thumbnail. So one thing that is cool about YouTube is they say you shouldn't change your title at all. And obviously you can't change the video, but you can change your thumbnail post. So I do believe you want to do all the work to commit to a good thumbnail, but then make sure that once it's uploaded and after like a week or two, if the click-through rate is lower, you can explore uploading a completely different thumbnail. What are your thoughts on that? Have you uploaded a new thumbnail before? Because I'm seeing that with big channels in 2020 more than ever.
Yeah, I mean that's what I meant. I make 10 different thumbnails and then I'll just like post it throughout the week and change it. Sometimes I get really bored and impulsive and I change it every hour. Every
Wow.
hour is a little too much. Don't do that. But like if you do a thing where it's every day you change it until you find that the click through rate is sticking, then totally. Like the guy that I said that had 20 million subscribers, he doesn't even more insanely like I think he does 50 copies and then changes it every like some sort of like algorithmic way. But yeah, no, YouTube does not penalize you for changing thumbnails. It actually helps you because YouTube's already pushing your video to impress up to people. It's just a matter of like how you convert them.
All right. So we are going to go move into the Q&A section. You just heard from Jade what she would do in her first 100 days. Just to recap, obviously, you know, you got to put out those videos. If you're a complete beginner, you've got to build your confidence. You've got to be competent. You've got to learn how to edit and do all those things and really ultimately experiment. Secondly, you're going to be doing some storytelling. You're going to bring something unique to your videos by combining niches, combining different ideas that aren't being done, right? Like if you're into something, you're like, but it could be done a different way. You should totally do it. The third thing we talked about is, in fact, remind me what the third thing was that you mentioned, Jade.
Milk the cow.
What's that?
You should milk the
Oh
cow.
yeah, milk the
Like
cow. I'm not, it's ironic. I was like, I'm never going to forget that, but yeah, milk the cow. So when you do have your hit videos, follow it up, right? You know, she talks about 50-50 ratio. Make sure you put out content you love, but also remember, views are important. I call them hook videos. You want to hook an audience to your channel, and maybe they're only there for that specific, very niche topic or whatever it is, but you want to give them a chance to be introduced to your other things. But if you don't get them there in the first place, then they're never even going to know who you are. So I think that's really important. And the last thing we talked about is make sure you look at your analytics, right? Use tools like vidIQ. So with that being said, we're going to move into Q&A. If you're watching the replay of this, this is exclusive for the members. So hit that join button down below if you guys want to be part of the club. But Jade, what's your last thoughts that you want to leave with the audience or share with people who are just getting started and how to crush it on YouTube here in 2020?
I mean, I just wanted to dive in deeper about the illogical side of YouTube. So much of YouTube does not make sense. Trends don't make sense.
Yeah.
This Alexandra girl that does makeup does not make sense. As you can see, I paint a lot. I do a lot of things that don't make sense with my time. I'm recently trying to be a new homeowner, but instead of buying a home in a state that makes more financial sense, I want to do something that makes me happy in California, and my parents hate that.
Yeah.
um, I think if you wanna, I saw a question in the comments saying like, "What do you do when you're uncomfortable on YouTube?" I think if you're struggling to do illogical things, do it in small ways, in the most
Mm,
weirdest way. Like, ask yourself before, screw this YouTube thing. Like, what can I do today that's only for me? A lot of us are not comfortable for doing things that are for ourselves. We need to make someone happy or do something for work. But
yeah.
when was the last time you asked yourself, like, I want to do this because I like it? Hobbies are important. And that's why I think in a small way, if you can ask yourself that, it'll be really easy to implement on YouTube day to day.
Beautiful. I believe that some of the most successful channels on YouTube actually come from that desire to just do something they love. They actually don't care if anybody's into it, and they do it and it just clicks because with 7+ billion people on the planet, there's a good chance there's a group, if not a whole, you know, like grip of people, millions of potential subscribers that are also into that. And you can't be fearful of, you know, looking dumb or making a mistake, or maybe that no one cares. But this is why it's important that once you do find something you love and you decide to start a channel, you just commit for the long term, right? And do whatever you can to optimize your videos. So, hey, Jade, thank you so much. You guys go check out her channel. We've got the links down below. We're about to get into Q&A. If you guys want to see our full playlist of interviews with people crushing on YouTube, click or tap the screen right here. If you guys want to check out our last interview with Jade, click or tap the screen right here. As always, we're helping build your influence, income, impact with online videos.